Hi everyone, my name is Sammy Robert and this is Gentry Hatch, and today we're focusing on the maintenance and relapse. These are the stages, these stages represent the reality of long-term recovery, sustaining new behaviors and learning from setbacks. We'll explore what these stages mean, what challenges typically arise, and how individuals can build resilience through both stability and struggle. Maintenance and relapse are not opposites. They're deeply connected parts of change.
The TTM explains how people intentionally change behavior over time through repeating dynamic stages. The trans-theoretical model created by Prochaska and DiClemente describes 6 stages of change: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and relapse. People don't move through these stages in a straight line. Progress often happens in cycles: forward steps, occasional setbacks, and renewed effort. Each cycle adds self-awareness and strength. Relapse, which we'll discuss later, isn't a failure. It's information. It gives insight into what still needs attention, and it allows people to approach recovery with compassion instead of shame.
Maintenance is about protecting progress and integrating recovery into everyday life. Maintenance stage begin once someone has maintained their new behavior for about 6 months or more. This stage is all about preserving progress and presenting backsliding. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. At this point, the person is learning to live life differently. New habits like attending meetings, using coping skills, maintaining structure start to feel natural. Maintenance requires ongoing effort because old patterns can reappear when stress or complacency sets in. During this stage, individuals focus on preventing relapse by identifying triggers and building resilience. For example, they might avoid risky environments, stay connected to support system, and practice healthy coping mechanisms. It's also a time of self-discovery. People in maintenance learn who they are without the behaviors or substances that once defined them. They build confidence through small wins. Each day, stability becomes proof of their capability. However, this stage can feel repetitive once the crisis of early change is over. Motivation sometimes fades, and that's why ongoing support, structure, and accountability remain crucial for maintaining recovery over the long haul.
Relapse is not a failure, it's feedback for continued growth. Relapse is one of the most challenging yet informative parts of the change process. It's when someone returns to old behaviors after a period of improvement. But instead of treating relapse as a failure, it should be seen as a teacher, a signal that something needs to be adjusted. Many individuals experience relapse, and it's often a normal step in recovery. It can reveal unaddressed emotional triggers, environmental pressures, or missing support structures. When handled properly, relapse can strengthen commitment to change. It's helpful to distinguish between a lapse and a relapse. A lapse is a single slip, maybe one drink, one use, or one impulsive behavior. A relapse means returning to a consistent pattern of old behavior. Recognizing that difference helps determine the right response and level of intervention. After relapse, reflection is key. What happened? What was going on emotionally? Which coping skills weren't used? These questions help rebuild insight and refine the recovery plan. The emotional fallout can be intense: guilt, shame, or frustration, but this is where support matters most. Compassion from peers, counselors, and family helps transform relapse into growth instead of defeat. Ultimately, relapse brings people back into the cycle of change, often with a deeper understanding of their patterns. Every relapse can strengthen the next recovery. It's an opportunity for renewed commitment and learning.
Let's look at a fictional case study to bring maintenance and relapse stages to life. Ethan is a 34-year-old man in early recovery from alcohol use disorder. Ethan has been sober for 9 months and is currently in the maintenance stage. At first, he was doing well, attending meetings regularly, working with his sponsor, exercising, and rebuilding family relationships. But Recently, Ethan's motivation has dropped. He's stopped attending support meetings. He's not sleeping well. He's feeling disconnected. When asked how he's doing, he says, I thought I'd feel better by now.
Let's apply the biopsychosocial model to Ethan's case study to gather more information to better understand what might be happening. Looking at Ethan's situation through the biopsychosocial lens, we can start with the biological domain. Ethan reports fatigue, cravings, and disrupted sleep, all signs of post acute withdrawal, which can persist for months during maintenance. Many clients expect to feel normal right after achieving sobriety, but the body is still healing and balancing itself. These symptoms can lower motivation, so it's important to normalize the process and encourage structure, consistent sleep, hydration, nutrition, and physical activity all support ongoing recovery. Psychologically, Ethan's battling negative self talk and guilt, believing he's not doing recovery right. These thoughts often lead to shame and hopelessness, which are major relapse triggers. Therapeutic approaches like CBT and motivational interviewing help challenge these distorted beliefs and replace them with realistic, empowering ones, reinforcing self compassion and emotional stability. Socially, Ethan's withdrawing from sober supports and facing conflict at home, both of which weaken his recovery foundation. Social connection is one of the strongest protective factors in maintenance. So, helping Ethan re engage with his sponsor and peer network can restore accountability and belonging. Overall, Ethan's biological stress, negative thinking, and social isolation are feeding off each other. Identifying these warning signs early allows intervention, rebuilding balance, restoring connection, and preventing relapse before it begins. Sorry.
Looking at Ethan through the ASAM framework, we can see several areas of concern. Under Dimension 1, acute intoxication and withdrawal, Ethan isn't in active withdrawal, but he's dealing with post-acute symptoms like insomnia, fatigue, and irritability. These physical stressors make it harder to manage emotions, increase vulnerability, and relapse. In Dimension 3, emotional, behavioral, and cognitive, Ethan's thought patterns show hopelessness, low self-efficacy, and he's losing self-confidence in his ability to sustain change, which weakens motivation. Addressing these beliefs through therapy support can rebuild confidence and emotional stability. Finally, Dimension 6, recovery environment, highlights that his home life is strained. He's drifting from his sober supports, isolation, and tension create a high-risk setting for relapse. Reconnecting with his sponsor and recovery community will help to reestablish accountability and a sense of belonging together. These dimensions show how Ethan's biological, emotional, and environmental stressors overlap, and how addressing all three areas can strengthen his maintenance to reduce relapse risk.
Maintenance and relapse work together. They're two sides of the same process. Maintenance is about holding steady and building strength. Relapse, when it happens, teaches what still needs support. Someone in recovery might cycle through both multiple times. Each round deepens understanding and helps refine coping strategies. The key isn't avoiding relapse forever, it's learning how to respond to it effectively. When viewed this way, both stages represent growth. Maintenance is active self-management, relapse is feedback for improvement. Together, they create a continuous path toward lasting change.
Change is not about perfection, it's about persistence. In closing, maintenance and relapse stages remind us that recovery is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. It's built on self-awareness, consistency, and learning from setbacks. Relapse doesn't erase progress. It offers an opportunity to pause, evaluate, and restart with new clarity. Maintenance isn't a finish line. It's the commitment to keep showing up for your own growth every day. Ultimately, both stages demonstrate that sustainable change is about resilience, the ability to recover, rebuild, and keep moving forward no matter how many times the cycle repeats.
That's all we have. Thanks, guys.